If you watched the next episode preview last week, chances are you were pretty hyped for some dragon action and all-out war. Then you tuned in Sunday night, and you may have been rather disappointed. Hey, at least there were some cats and people talking. All jokes aside, that trailer was showcasing the remainder of the season, from all 4 episodes. Episode 5 itself is another one of those character-focused episodes, politically driven, straight out of the classic Game of Thrones era. Not every week is going to be a Red Wedding, nor Battle of the Bastards, and that's okay. These episodes are crucial for the overall story, but I can see why some folk are a little bit disappointed. Some are just here for the dragons, the battles, and the shocking twists, but let's not forget, Thrones was always much more than that. But I'm not going to sit here and say this was the greatest hour in Westeros history, but some characters had their best outings in some considerable time. Perhaps none more so than the Lord Commander himself. Sir Criston Cole has accepted his fate and begins his guerrilla warfare against Daemon's Riverlands army and the Winter Wolves. Straight out of Ramsay Bolton's 20 Good Men book, Cole's forces ravage the Rivermen's camp and destroy any potential crossing they could use, slowing down their march to Tumbleton. And Cole's been here since the very beginning, where he was sworn to protect the Princess Rhaenyra. But over the years, the character has been very hit or miss. Why was he able to kill a knight in the throne room at a royal wedding and face little consequence? And did anyone really enjoy his love affair with the Queen Dowager? But I kinda like where the character is heading now. He's seen firsthand the death and destruction the dragons bring. He's served both green and black, but is done with it all. He knows this campaign will be his last and wants to go out on his own terms, as his own man. However, his dirty tactics can also be deployed against him, as his enemies lay traps of their own for the Kingmaker, killing his horses, burning their crossing, and weakening his men's morale. They are outnumbered 200 to 1, and now Gawain Hightower has departed, seeking to join his cousin Aemond rather than follow Cole's nihilistic mission. And it's likely some of his men will follow suit. So next episode, Cole may go into the Butcher's Ball with even worse odds. But this week might be Cole's best episode in a long time, maybe ever, with his grim monologue being a standout. Now, Aemond One Eye returns, having spent several episodes on the sideline. Aemond awakens to the sound of his brother screaming and burning. Much has changed since the Prince Regent entered the haunted castle of Harrenhal. His half-sister has taken the capital. Aegon is MIA, thought to be dead, and Vhagar has somehow vanished into thin air. Luckily for Aemond, he is in the care of Alice Rivers, who has been keeping those assassins from claiming their bounty. Aemond had it all. He rode the largest dragon in the realm. He sat the Iron Throne and possessed the arms and armour of the Conqueror himself. But now he's back to being the wounded, scared little boy all over again, with only a new mummy to hold him tightly. And Alice might be the best thing in this episode. I loved how she went all Batman on her enemies. If you look closely, you could see her little trick, and it just adds another tale of her so-called witchcraft. Harrenhal may be the largest castle in the land. Some men claim it's haunted, but that won't stop some launching another attempt on the prince's life. This time, Alice is unable to spook her way out of it, and Aemond is forced to draw the legendary sword Blackfire. But he's not 100%. He gets the job done with a rather brutal assist from the Weirwood Tree, and this is just the true beginning of the Alice and Aemond duo that will continue into the final season, with previous trailers hinting at a little romance and even a baby dragon. Whatever may come to pass, I'm just glad Aemond is back, as he has been sorely missed, and Alice, my fellow Scot, is just fabulous. And I'm starting to see a little trend here. Duos, tag teams, partnerships. Gawain and Cole, Aemond and Alice, and now Aegon and Larys strong. 2 characters who I feel have been pretty mistreated. They tried to make Aegon the worst man alive, a genuine fiend, and Larys was demoted to the clubfoot guy with a foot fetish. But now they have been given some very good material. Aegon wants his brother dead, and who could blame him? The guy's a ruin, but Larys has a few hard truths for the Broken King. In Aegon's eyes, Aemond was perfect. He claimed Vhagar, was the better warrior, spoke perfect High Valyrian, and was their mother's favourite, all whilst being none of that. But Larys reminds him he was firstborn son of the king. He had everything. He had all the opportunities in the world. He had the most beautiful dragon in the realm, named after the sun itself. But just look what he's made of himself. He abused all of his privileges and hurt so many, including the very dragon he loved. He was not only a bad king, but a terrible person. And man, the character needed this. He needed this low blow. Aegon might be the most interesting character at the moment, and this episode might be his best, since the day he was burnt and lost it all. But as they say, two's company frees a crowd. Tywin Lannister not only survived his little swim in the gullet, but he's found his way to Rook's Rest, and he joins the Broken Men. Honestly, Aegon was a little kid sitting on his bed, whilst his parents were arguing over what's best for him. But when Aegon's guard is down, his true identity was leaked, and his hand, as well as a knife, was forced into the gut of the so-called Lord of Rook's Rest, all whilst his new dads looked on in such disappointment. Now, on to the third brother. Daeron couldn't be any more different than the other two, but last week was his first taste of being a pawn in Team Green. Aemond continues his plan to cause unrest in King's Landing, and it's working, and he prepares for the inevitable counterattack. He's even started production of new gold coins of Daeron the Daeron's face all over him. Operation Hightower King is in full effect, all whilst little Daeron works on his non-biased Hightower history test. And you can tell Daeron is terrified of upsetting Aemond, and last week's tantrum may have only been the tip of the iceberg. And this one's for those hardcore fans out there. Not only was Tyrion's favourite board game being played, but the Yellow Toad of Dorne being name-dropped. And if you're like me, you're desperate for some Aegon's conquest on the big screen. Just make sure you don't play your dragon piece and upset the thin-skinned Hightower Lord. But of course, King's Landing is the hub of this story. Rhaenyra's reign only gets worse every single day. The Dragon Queen may have deployed her loyal army of cats to rid the Red Keep of their rodent problem, but that is the least of her concerns. She's got no money, is becoming more and more paranoid every day, her list of truly faithful allies is uncertain, and her gold cloaks are being slaughtered by unknown forces. Those men are the reason she won the throne. Without them, her and Daemon would be dead before the Iron Throne. And by going after the City Watch, her enemies are striking a crucial blow. This is a critical hit. She's also making the mistake of going back on a promise to a Frey. Just ask the young wolf how poorly that went. Poor Rhaenyra. If only the show ended a couple episodes ago with her ascending the Iron Throne, but of course it was never going to be that simple. Her reign has been a complete disaster. Her youngest strong boy Joffrey is back in the capital, but she's hyper-focused on everything else, in and outside of King's Landing. She is juggling so many problems but solving none of them. Daemon's in one ear telling her to fix the gold cloaks, Mysaria in the other with her own agenda. Everyone's favourite nomad is filling the Lady Freyan on all the gossip at work, and nothing's getting done. And for once, Daemon is the voice of reason. The gold cloaks not being paid and then being murdered should have been priority number one. Not hunting ghosts in Harrenhal or locating the missing Granny Godzilla. And this kind of feels like the beginning of the end of the Rhaenyra and Daemon power couple. I love their scene at the Sept in the House of the Seven, where they speak the blasphemous language of the Dragon Lords of Old Valyria. But after all this, her paranoia, Mysaria's games, and the inevitable truth of Sheepstealer makes me feel like we're counting down the days until Daemon and Rhaenyra are no more. But Daemon returns to his gold cloaks with a little motivating speech, and he learns the truth of Ormond's schemes. But the killings only continue, in fact they escalate, as the now commander, Sir Luther Largent, has been murdered. The man who turned the tide when he sided with Rhaenyra and Daemon in the throne room has been brutally murdered. And the gold cloaks are not getting paid, they're dropping like flies. Now their commander is dead. There's no way they will blindly follow the Rogue Prince anymore and become members of the next Feast for Traitors. It all goes from bad to worse for Rhaenyra, and that's all before she catches wind of Helena's pregnancy. The thought of an ultra-paranoid and broken Rhaenyra is very scary, and Alicent has already predicted this. She wants her daughter to abort the child before it gets out of hand. She's organised the Grand Maester to bring Helaena some moon tea, but Helaena refuses, having already lost one child to this civil war. And Alicent is an experienced player in the game, but now she's lost the aid of the Grand Maester, as he has his own life to worry about. And her schemes have been uncovered by the new Mistress of Whispers, who learns of Alicent's plan on escaping the Red Keep through the secret tunnels built into the walls. But as I said weeks ago, everybody is out for themselves. Mysaria claims loyalty to Rhaenyra, but Alicent tries to persuade her to play the game, play all the sides, and keep this a secret. The Hightowers owe you a favour here. I guess we'll find out if the White Worm stays true to the Dragon Queen, but let's not assume this is the last time the Lady Mysaria will think twice about putting her own interests first. Alicent and Helaena do enter the tunnels built by Maekor the Cruel many years ago, with a little help from the Red Keep's new Chief Mousers. And these are the very same tunnels used by Blood and Cheese, something Helaena was very uneasy about. And for once, Helaena feels more than just a plot device, or a tool to spread book references or Easter eggs. Alicent seems up for abandoning her granddaughter Jaehaera, and I'm sure this will cause some sort of divide between mother and daughter. That's if they ever manage to escape the dark tunnels, as they are now trapped without any source of light, and my claustrophobic nature spiraled here. And the revelation that Alicent may have been pregnant with Cole's child at least once is a very interesting what if. Overall, this wasn't groundbreaking television that shook the very foundations of the Seven Kingdoms, nor my favourite episode in this season. And I know not everyone's going to love the idea of two women talking, but it reminded me of classic Thrones. I'm not saying the characters nor the writing are anywhere close to the levels of the first 4 seasons, but this might be House of the Dragon's closest attempt at matching the energy. But guys, let me know your thoughts on episode 5. Make sure you come back for the next episode preview, which will be done very soon. Anyways, thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you soon.